And kind folks, welcome to RPG with DBJ. And we're taking a little bit of a detour, but this channel is always about being inspired, getting those cobwebs out of our head. And when we're low on our mind fuel, stopping by and filling up on the old creative petrol and filling up our juices. And of course, for our inspiration, yes, I have received. That's pretty terrible. I've received the current version of release from Wizards of the Coast, Planescape, and I've been awaiting this. And despite evidence to the contrary, it's actually pretty good, at least from my criteria, which is about being inspired. So we're going to figure out why that is, and this channel being a positive channel, we're going to get into it. So, guys, just sit back, relax, be prepared, because you're probably not going to hear too many. This isn't a negative channel. We aren't fueled by that. So, sit back, relax. We'll get into it. Mm-hmm. Never mind the intro. Okay, we're just gonna get started. So, again, creatives, community, and kind folks, welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and yes, I am holding the box set to the recent release of Planescape. Um, and yeah, I'm completely aware. Okay, I got to put this up here. So, thank you, Drew, for mentioning that. He says, "I like your positivity, but I'm not sure if I want to give WotC any publicity." And I absolutely agree with you. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure this is going to be my last purchase from them. I actually, uh, I wanted to upgrade my current stash of old second edition Planescape materials and wanted to see what they had. And I was completely disappointed in the Spelljammer set. And so the Planescape set has come out. So whatever your choice is about giving money to WotC or whatever, I don't, I'm not against that, whatever. So, but I received it, took a look at it, and was just like, I'll keep whatever my opinions to myself. But we do have a number of things. First of all, if I am inspired by something, I like to share what I'm inspired by. And oftentimes I'm inspired by current events or television or something like that. And the Day of series is really just being inspired by something, maybe something that you hadn't even thought of. And so, but there is another reason why I'm showing this off, because so many people have wanted something for Planescape, but the original Planescape still exists. So if you don't mind me sharing this out here, you can actually find the old Planescape materials. Unfortunately, you would have to purchase them from WotC. But if you go to Drive Through RPG, you can actually find the original Planescape materials here. Now, what they are old scans. And let's see if I can scroll down here just a little bit. So you can see, so there's $15 PDF for the Planescape setting. It still exists. And from what I understand, these are just basically old books that were found and then they were scanned up. So it's got the original art. Let's see if we can get a full-size preview and share that out. Oh, it's not giving me oh well, it's not giving me pages. But if you would like a hardcover book and a PDF, it's $45 here, US. And it's got the history, talks about all the Planescape. So the original Planescape still exists, just like the original Dark Sun and all that kind of stuff. All of that stuff still exists. So you don't need to buy the 5e version of it. Yep. Yeah, and like Shai says, all the 2e Planescape stuff is available on PDF for free download with no WotC involved. Right. So if you want to acquire this information, plus you could just get online. So let me give you an example of finding something here. So for example, if we go to, and we're going to talk about this here, if you go to the website forgottenrealms.fandom.com, and or it'll show up as Forgotten Realms Wiki. You can go and find out anything you need to know about Planescape and some of the communities there and information and things like that. So if you're super interested in it, but you don't want to give up the cash, or you don't even have the cash available in the first place, it's a good place to go. There's a reason why I have Mechanist here, because we're going to go to a place that is highlighted in the new Planescape. Let me share this out, which is AUTOMATA. It's a gate town that leads to the clockwork nirvana of Mechanist. And I believe this is brand new. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is brand new. All right, let's get back to our conversation here. When I Heathen says, I've never played Planescape, but I've always wanted to. And Shai says, if you're in Europe, you can also buy 90% of the original Planescape books from me. I bought them for the Gentleman Gamer long before he went trader. Oh, leave the Gentleman Gamer alone. I used to be a big Gentleman Gamer. And lots of people have wanted to. Damn ads. Damn ads. Damn it. Damn it. But oh, I can't get rid of it. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. But the lots of people have had a huge interest in Planescape and what it's about, and why are people even interested in the first place. For example, let me see if I can show these to you. These are my copies of Planescape from drive-through, and terrible lighting, but I can hold them up. So these are pretty thick books. I think they're each about I don't know, maybe 300 pages a piece, something like that. Yeah, about maybe 300 pages a piece. The quality's not the best if you're someone who's into coffee table books, but yeah. If you want the information, got the Planescape book here. Oh, I can't hold them up in my fingers without dropping them on my keyboard. Planes of Chaos. I got really bright lights here and Planes of Conflict and that sort of thing. And then they have a bunch of the scans at the back of the books. Let's see if I can get some of these scans and show off the scans to you. Let's see. And showing off the scans visually in a podcast is pretty strange, but anyway, back of the book, and there's a bunch of different scans. You get a bunch of the maps are in here. There's a bunch of locations, tables, and all that kind of stuff. And they even have the original page numbers at the bottoms to let you know that some of these scans are just literally taken from books and processed. So you're going to get a lot of like white edges. Sometimes the artwork is actually tucked down in the middle because of the printing process. So you're going to lose a little bit of that. So anyway, those are the original books. But I want to bring up, we're going to get into one of the books, which is a Sigil and the Outlands, which that you know that pronunciation bothers me a bit, but whatever. You can pronounce it any way you want to. Sigil and the Outlands, and begin with what is Sigil, what are the Outlands, and why I believe that it's better than we probably thought it would be, despite people's opinions about hating on WotC, which I'm not going to disagree with that at all. Okay, so if we think of the Great Cosmic Wheel, I don't know if any of you remember. You know what? Let me find a Cosmic Wheel. Let's see if we can find this here. For those who don't know, the Great Cosmic Wheel. Oops. No, Cosmic Wheel for Dungeons and Dragons. And let's see, Planescape. Let's see if we can find an image here. The Great Cosmic Wheel involves the Wheel of Alignment. So in the Cosmic Wheel, and how it's described in Dungeons and Dragons, is imagine the 9-point alignment system with neutral directly in the middle, and then you have law across the top and evil. I mean, excuse me, goodness across the top, evil across the bottom. You have law along one side and then chaos along the other side. And so we have ourselves an alignment. It's basically you could describe it as a square, but it's basically an alignment wheel. And let's pull this image up here. This is a little more colorful here, but it's far more difficult to read it. Okay, maybe this one's a little bit better. Whatever the case may be, I'm trying to find one that's both colorful but easy to read, and it's very difficult. If we want to go back to second edition, there's even this one, this black and white image right here, and right in the middle is concordant opposition, which is neutral, and then we have ourselves like the lawful and good, lawful, neutral, and chaotic good planes up above, and then the evil planes below with the nine hells being like lawful, and then we get to the middle, which is like the neutrality, and then chaotic evil and such. And it's known as the wheel. And the reason why it's a wheel also is because between, say, lawful good and neutral good, there's another plane. And between neutral good and chaotic good, there's another plane. So there are actually 16 of these planes, and they all had different names and descriptions and things back in second edition. And I think it was brought back even into fourth edition as well. And here we go. N-World. Oh, that's N-World's version of the Great Plains. So what does this book do? What does this book do? Oh man, it's silly. Okay, so what does this book do that changes all of that? Well, honestly, they actually do something very smart, which doesn't change any of that stuff at all. So what this book does is describe the city of Sigil, which is a ring world that's a big spire that floats at the top of that circles a spire that, in this essence, it's non-Euclidean. You can never reach the top of the spire or reach the spire to begin with. But what this does is it describes a place known as the Outlands, and the Outlands are essentially what is the environment that's around the bottom of the spire. And that environment is all of the planes of existence have some tenuous connection to concordant opposition to the plane of neutrality. And each of those places are basically known as the Outlands. And the Outlands exist there, and each one of them has a name. And the very first name, because today is known, today we're going to go through AUTOMATA. So the very first one, here we go, is known as AUTOMATA. And really difficult to see this just with the bright lights and such. If I didn't have the bright lights, you would never be able to see me. But this book, every page in the book has a 2-page spread. So if I were to change the page, it's just another 2-page spread about another part of the city. This another part of the Outlands, and this one is called Bedlam. So we're going to go through AUTOMATA. So what they basically did was they did not alter or change or improve or delete any information from your original Planescape. What they decided to do was like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, Shai says, yes, it is better than GM in every way imaginable. The real version, I mean, second edition Planescape. Absolutely. So, what the cosmology? What they did was you have the Great Ring, and then you have the location of concordant opposition. Let me see if I can find this again. And then inside of that wheel, inside of let's get here's another one here's an old scan from second edition where you have the from the box set, and this is another rendition of the Great Wheel right next to my head. And right in the middle is neutrality, and then you have all the other planes around the outer edge. And what this book does, what this set of Planescape does, is it fills in the gaps here in this description of the outer planes. So in other words, instead of neutrality being in the middle, and then you have kind of like a bridge over to the other planes. It fills in what looks like an aerial gap in this imagery. If I can find another something else to describe, because it's very difficult to describe planes of existence that don't have a physical representation. But let's try this one again. So here's neutrality right in the middle, and then there's space around it. We often think of this space as being the astral plane, but instead, what it's describing is, well, what is inside of the discordant concordant opposition, and describes that land. So all the planes on the outside are still in existence, and those rules still exist. But if you want to use this in your game, well, how the hell do you bring like first or third level characters into this world? Well, here's an interstitial location. Here's a location where all of this stuff kind of exists, in a slightly toned down form of it. And so there are these places known as the Outlands. So of course you have Sigil and the city of Sigil, which is basically a metropolis of everything from the outer planes. Once you leave that city, if you're able to leave that city and walk the world, that is known as the Outlands, or in the concordant opposition, the true neutral plane. The true neutral plane has, you see all these lines coming into it, has a piece of the Outlands, or the Outlands has a piece of each of these planes of existence. And so it describes that. So we're going to get into AUTOMATA. So let me share this out here. So AUTOMATA is a gate town leading to the clockwork nirvana of Mechanus. And um, AUTOMATA is a machine of law and order. The town's geography is as rigid as its bureaucracy, its buildings meticulously maintained and erected with mathematical precision. The gate town's right-angled, nearly identical establishments flummox visitors, but the friendly Modron residents that make up the bulk of its population navigate the intuitive grid of numbered streets with ease. AUTOMATA obeys a strict hierarchy of law overseen by the Council of Order, a triumvirate of officials representing three fulcrums of society. Every major decision is subject to the Council's scrutiny, but not before running a bureaucratic gauntlet of forms and minor approvals to earn its coveted final stamp. And each of these gate towns, of course, has a gate leading to somewhere else, and gives the opportunity for game masters to essentially um, introduce players to a fragment of what that plane of existence is. And using this, let's see if we can pull this up here again. Maybe I can get rid of one of my lights here. But pulling this up again, using some of the artwork here. There's a train. There's a train system and a bunch of Modrons trying to get on the train. Now, what they basically put out here in like one or two lines, that it makes you go like, wait, what? That there is a train system that runs through all of the planes of existence, and or at least the gate towns they're in. And so a player can actually find a ticket and to get on that train to travel from one place to another. Um, the train station is actually called Concord Terminus, and it is a train run by the people of Mechanus, the Modrons and such, and it's kind of cool. So, but what I wanted to talk about is like, why would you even have an adventure in these places in the first place? Uh, are there stats for the train? No, hell no. You never Listen, if you want players to destroy something, stat it out. Otherwise, no. So no, there are no stats for the train. Unfortunately, it's just the train, the portals to the other planes of existence, how you travel from one place to another. Let's be honest, there are no rules for it because it's all GM fiat. I mean, yes, you can establish rules and they give you rules for doing so, but essentially it's asking the question, how long does it take a starship to travel through hyperspace? Well, in a role-playing game and in media, it takes as long as the plot expects it to take, right? So that's essentially what the train is. The train is a moving plot device, just as traveling to the planes of existence are plot devices. Yeah, they talk about like keys to allow you passage and all that, but essentially the train is a moving plot device to get your players from one place to another. So if your train drops them off at at the front entrance to the nine hells, and they're like, when's the train come back? And it's like, I don't know, when you finish the adventure, I guess. uh horrible horrible descriptor of how that works, especially if you're someone who doesn't like to know how the sausage is made, but that's essentially how the sausage is made. Drew says, I think my aversion for maps causes me not like that. I prefer other planes of existence not to be classified and categorized, but more filled with awe and the sublime. Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem, right? Like it's like, well, are planes really next door to each other the way it's drawn? Could you really can you take in your the way you describe a world, can you just walk from one portal from, say, Elysium in a celestial plane straight into the nine hells or something, the fourth level of nine hells? The answer to that would be yes and no. I mean, depends on how you feel. So statting out a thing or having something concrete when it comes to traveling through different dimensions might seem a little counterintuitive, but you might want to make up some rules so that because the players are going to expect or going to want to know, how do we get around, or how to exploit getting around, and so doing that. So yeah, yeah, the hell with this train, it's statted now, mother. Yeah, but then King says, I meant stats for getting hit by the train or fighting on top of it. Though the party barbarian fighting a cosmic dimensional train is a great visual. No, there are no rules for that. Like, there are no rules for because having a really cool train fight is pretty iconic, right? It's like the classic rope bridge. I mean, fighting on top of and moving through train cars and such is pretty amazing. No, it's not that detailed. No, it's just a spark. There are no rules for that. So it's not like does the train just go move through a portal and arrive at the other spot 30 seconds later, or does it move through the astral plane or something like? No, it doesn't go into that. Nothing like that. So automata is I'm with you there. Drew says, for me, something like the ultraviolet grasslands are more my style. I love the ultraviolet grasslands, and I love how it's set up. And to be honest with you, the there's something in here similar to the ultraviolet grasslands. Let me see if I can pull out. Yeah, it's going to be horrible if I show this to you. Um, you know what? I'll show it to you at a different time because I'm being far more generalized. So what I wanted to talk about is, like, why would we even want to have an adventure in these places, or what sparks adventure in these places? So first of all, the fact that there's a train, a monitored train that players can go from different dimensions and have adventures with other creatures from different dimensions on this train, um, and it is tangentially attached to the plane of Mechanus is kind of cool. Now there are some rules for the Outlands. One of the rules, and this is how players are able to navigate throughout the Outlands in the first place, is that um, the the closer the territory of the Outlands represents the plane of existence it's attached to, the greater chance it will disappear. So, because it's on the plane of neutrality, there's, I want to call it a hidden feature. There's a secret or a feature or a bit of lore or a way it works that every one of the Outland locations has something about it that completely does not represent the alignment it was attached to. So for those who don't know, despite the fact that alignment has pretty much faded into the background, that the planescape and the planes of existence themselves came about because each plane was the physical representation of the alignment it represented. So there's a lawful good plane of existence. There is a neutral evil plane of existence. There's a chaotic neutral plane of existence. And in the old days, when a character died and the PCs wanted to go basically bring that person's soul back and have adventures there, they were like, well, it makes sense. Player characters are going to want to go on adventures. So how about we have an adventure where they go to that plane of existence and get their buddy back? And what would that be like? What would the physical uh, part of that be like? Yeah, Shy Squads brings up to anybody remember the first edition Modrons in Monster Manual 1 or 2? I think it was Monster Manual 2. Yeah, you're right. Where they just looked like geometric shapes long before Planescape. So nobody knew about mechanists or knew what they were supposed to be. And so this is the oddity is that the outland city of Automata or Automata, if you want to pronounce it that way, is not quite Mechanist. So if you want to let your players dip their toe into it, they can go to these places and find out what it's about. So is the Modrons have always been associated with extreme lawful neutrality, complete order. The lawful part of them being like it's very regimented, and the neutral part meaning that they apply the rules equally. They're not good or evil. It's just all about order. And but the city of Automata is a little bit different because they have a little hidden feature in there which throws a lot of chaos and such. So let's talk about some of the like reasons why we want to adventure here after I get to some of your comments here. The Ant King says 5e's loosening alignment actually, damn it, it moved a little bit. Sorry. Actually made me really curious how they would handle Planescape because in second edition, alignment was a big deal. In this current edition, the alignment is no longer a big deal. As a matter of fact, they do mention alignment, but they don't attach alignment to the plane of existence itself. So they describe it in using adjectives and nouns and verbiage rather than this is the plane of alignment that is this particular alignment and things like that. So, for example, um, at the it's going to be very difficult for me to show this to you, but at the very heading of the book, and much like the ultraviolet grasslands, which I love the layout of ultraviolet grasslands, at the very top of automata, it tells you what it's attached to. So it just basically says gate destination, primary citizens, and the rulers. And a gate destination is the clockwork nirvana of mechanists, or whatever. I am probably placing the improper emphasis on the incorrect syllable when I say that. Um, when I Heathen says, I like alignment if it's used right. I think the right way to use it is for guideposts for how we play our characters with lots of open room for interpretation and discussion. And even that comment right there would make people argue with you. But personally, I absolutely agree. I never thought it was a shackle anyway. I was like, why play an alignment you don't want to play? And it's a game, so we could change whatever we want to, right? So when I Heathen says, I think many players hate alignment because some GMs approach it like a huge overarching restraint. Yeah, they do. I've been victim of that. Yeah, like you can't spit into mud because a lawful good character wouldn't do kind of stuff. Yes, and people playing lawful stupid characters and chaotic stupid and stuff like that. Yeah, careful showing the page or Pinkertons might get to me collecting my Magic the Gathering cards. Oh fuck. So listen, I absolutely understand why WotC um uh why you wouldn't want to give them any money. So I get it. But my thing is, well, A, you can use this for free. Just get on the like I showed you. Look right here. Here's it for free, right? So if you want to be have that spark to fuel. So why would we want to even adventure in a place like this in the first place? Well, with a clockwork beings and things like that, maybe the player characters need to travel here to acquire a piece of material, a MacGuffin, right? Maybe there's a scientist or a sentient being, like a machine or a gear or something to complete um, a, a, a device, a machine, a sentient warforged just is injured by the party, and they want to replace that arm that got ripped off in the last adventure or something. And this would be a great place for the player characters to go. Maybe they find a ticket to a train, or it becomes the MacGuffin they find in the last adventure. Hey, here's a one-way ticket to weird, strange, non-Euclidean planes of existence, and here you get the players to offload on the train and arrive in this city. And this may be their place to arrive, which it's neither good nor evil. It just runs very regimented, and getting them lost in a city where all the buildings seem to look the same and all the streets are just are in right angles to each other. It's just basically a giant grid work, and get them get them really here. And, also, people change alignments. It's called growing up. Hell yeah, yep. And then you'll really need rules for for train combat. Yeah. Also, people change alignment. Yeah, yes, people change alignments all the time, and also people aren't static, right? So really, what ends up happening is people break their own alignment, and then they either have regrets or guilt or something like that, right? It's the person who never parties. They go out partying and they go, "Oh, I'm not going to do that again." It happens all the time. We all do that all the time. Yeah, and King says, "Careful." No, says, "Yeah, one minute you put them on a train, then you really need combat for that." For me, I would love that. Hell yeah, having a fight on a train would be awesome. Another reason for visiting Automata is that maybe the players want to know what the hell Modrons are. Maybe they are introduced to what the Great Modron March is. In these two-page spreads, they give you just a little hint of what it's about. Like, for example, they do mention the Great Modron March. Quote, every 289 years, thousands of Modrons emerge from Automata's Gate in an event known as the Great Modron March, a planar parade of epic proportions in which the Modrons travel through each of the gate towns and the outer planes. And some consider that to be the Modrons basically putting reality back together. So maybe the players need to get there before the Great Modron March. It could be that they hear that the train to these different gate towns might be shutting down, or they're going. Maybe it's bounty hunting, and one of the enemies that they're going after, like a Rakshasa or something. I'm trying to think of other extraplanar creature they might encounter, but maybe that lieutenant of a big bad uses their ticket to get on a train. Players stow themselves on, and then they arrive in Automata just by accident, and then now they have to navigate this strange clockwork place. Also, having a conversation with clockwork beings that all are designed to be in specific places at specific times to do specific actions. The player characters, just by their presence, might throw things into chaos. Now, remember, these gate towns are not specifically the planes of existence. So a lawful place isn't extreme. It's while it does have extreme law, it's not constructed out of law. So there can be chaos in these gate towns. For example, in Automata, it could also be maybe the players are returning a lost Modron or a device or gear or something like that to this place for a mission, not knowing what the end result would be, and they arrive there. Now, I can imagine environmentally, you know, got to have a fight on a train, on the outside of the train, jumping between cars, hanging on its edges. Once you get into the city, you know, some of the clockwork mechanisms that might be around, players needing to dodge and maneuver around gears and things moving around that might catch on their clothing, or get a giant ogre or something tries to push them into the gears to get them chewed up. I'm thinking of um, Indiana Jones, and he's fighting the big bad guy, and one of the blocks gets moved on the flying wing plane with the propellers, and it's like not just fighting a bad guy, but you also have to watch out for all the mechanisms that are moving in and around the city. Let's see what you guys have to say. Yeah, One Eye Heathen talks about like yes, basically the value of like hard sci-fi versus like cosmic horror that kind of doesn't have an explanation to it. The End King says, an idea for a clockwork town like Automata. There are beings tuned to the time of every dimension, so the players can always know when midnight is about to drop. I like that. I like that. And again, it could be maybe when the stroke of air quotes midnight hits, all of the machines start to shut down, or there's a shift change, and the players are able to sneak in some plays and retrieve a device or an idea or something like that. Oh, what? Oh, I brought up a terrible. Sorry about that, heathen. You left your phone. So I hardly ever get drunk. Got drunk and left my cell phone at a lift ride. Ugh, I hate that. The Ant King says, like throughout the campaign, they can return to automata to get their bearings and to plan their next sliders jump. Exactly, right? And they could, and maybe they're agents for the Modrons. Now, I have to say, the way it's described, and not giving too many details away about the secrets that are here, like I told you, every one of these gate towns has something. It doesn't quite correspond to the alignment you think it is. So maybe the Modrons here aren't don't quite follow the rules, or maybe there's some Modrons that are like um, that are the astronauts from Mechanus, and that leave the plane that are a little bit more chaotic in their nature, and maybe they can perform more than one function at a time, and they get some of the player characters and they're like, oh man, I we really need your help. Like I want to return back home, but I've learned all these new independent ideas out there, which might be kind of cool. Hey, simple player character wanting to learn new types of spells. I want to learn the blade barrier spell, or find a construct or something like that, or build a construct. And this city would be the greatest place to do something like that. It also might be a great place to hide from enemies, because the way it's described, navigating this gate town is very confusing because they use things like fractions and decimal points along with other numerology to number the streets and the buildings and things. So it's like, so where's that coffee shop again? Well, it's at 423.685. But when you make a left turn, if if you can mathematically figure out pi, that'll be the floor that it's on. It might be something dumb like that, and you got to like do like complex math equations to find out where something is. It'd be kind of cute. The End King says, by the way, I'm sort of ignoring the Modron aspect. Cutesy creatures in the hands of some DMs, they become nightmares like tribbles on the Enterprise. Yeah, they are treated rather comically, because they're even drawn a little bit like that. Like they're just like these geometric shapes with like spindly arms and legs, with like even the image here shows them carrying like luggage and stuff, getting ready to get on the train, and like many of them have like one big eyeball in the middle of their head, like an eyeball look through like a fisheye lens, which makes them look even more ridiculous and kind of cutesy. So I'm with you there, but I think the there's a fear sometimes. Part of cosmic horror is that we don't matter, because we understand goodness and evil. Like we understand someone, even if we don't like the person's personality, we get conflict by a sentient conscious being who's in opposition to what we want, and we can start beating ass. But um Mechanist, and then by virtue of the gate town of Automata, having a non-feeling, we don't care what you are, humanoid, mechanicistic kind of culture, and ignoring the player characters themselves can also feel a little bit horrible as well, because then it feels like the player characters don't have any influence. Now, if they're able to find the undercurrent in this city, I mean, what happens when you have a completely mathematically precise culture and you don't fit in some kind of way? Where do you go? And it would be pretty interesting for players to find out, like, where do Modrons go that are kicked out of their own culture? Where what is the underworld like in a world of complete order? Is it complete chaos? I don't know. Um, mm, mm, mm. Shai says, hey, does fake Planescape have the Primus 2, the god of the Modrons? And did they make a fake version for the Modron March and the Dead Gods? They didn't. So this is inserted into the rest of Planescape. So doesn't, this version of it, fakesy, I guess you want to call it. This fake Planescape doesn't negate or intrude on the original really cool Planescape at all. What it does is basically it describes the plane of neutrality. It's the outlands, which is the physical landscape around the plane of neutrality, and then the spire and the city of the damn, my brain just went. The city of Sigil that they always keep pronouncing, which everyone wants to call it a sigil. But yeah, it does that. So it doesn't describe the planes of existence. It doesn't go into none of that. No, doesn't describe the nine hells. It doesn't describe mechanists. It doesn't. No, 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 none of that. What it does describe is, oh, here's the middle of the planes of existence and how they are influenced by the other planes, so the two can sit side by side. One of Heathen says, "Oh, love this idea of a train chase and fight in a mechanized automation city with the PCs having the dodge flying machines, mechanical arms, tops of tunnels." Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, of course. Swinging arms. Maybe there's like what's that stuff called? The molten ore that's used in forges. You've got like stamping machines that cut, stamp, and use pressure to make different kinds of metals into different shapes and such. Oh, I love that kind of stuff. And now you have to dodge, jump, and twist around because you weren't meant to ride on the top of a train. It perfectly fits into the tunnel. You aren't supposed to be on top of there and having to maneuver around stuff. Yep, getting blasted in the face by steam. Having big giant hooks move tonnage of like I don't know, gears that have to be dumped into acid pits to get them clean. And then you have inspectors, measuring their diameters and things like that to put the gears back in the. Yep. When Heathen says, you all. Oh, shit, what just happened? You'd also have Modrons getting on top of the train to stop the outsiders from fighting and cause chaos and automatic timed steam blasts or flames or waste dumps from factories that missed the train. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I love the idea. Who know? Hell, no one's. It doesn't mention how fast it moves. So bullet train speeds to get through the astral planes or something like that. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Mm-mm-mm. I love it. Modrons can provide real role playing chances. They are sentient. They can change alignment and go rogue. You can play them to be interesting, imposing order on an indifferent universe. Absolutely. And they do have rules for like, I mean, there are player character options, but I really want to talk. But yeah, like, why would you be here? What's kind of the idea behind it? And have some fun with it. And listen, it's your world. You can take this book and burn it for all I care, right? It's your world. I'll play. It's your imagination. I'm just a player in it, right? So a I'm just talking about interdimensionality of a place of complete order. Now, it is mentioned in some of the talks from the guys who guys and ladies, whoever that helped write it, that says that Planescape is kind of the background dressing for the universe, almost like pulling the curtain back and seeing how the universe works. And it would be pretty interesting for, like, if you want to get a little bit more ephemeral in this idea, that the a completely clockwork plane of existence might have information about someone's memories or dreams, and that someone, maybe even the player characters themselves, don't fit into the cosmology any longer, and maybe an enemy wants to go to this place, and if they can find the right gears to move the thing to disrupt the player characters, like literal plane what would you call that, like threads woven through the web tapestry of life and such. And maybe this clockwork city, a universe, is a place where all life and desires and motivations are programmed, and the player characters are no longer programmed. And they're like, or maybe there's a MacGuffin the player characters need to find to put things right because some other place in the multiverse isn't working correctly. And they've somehow found the pieces and they got to get them to the Modrons to make sure it gets fixed, because now that it's out of control, it's like it's actually affecting gravity and light and things like that, you know. So it could be more than just machines with machines. It could be the mechanisms of the brain, the mechanisms of the spirit, the mechanisms of how the literal universe works. When I Heathen says the idea of a Modron underworld reminds me of the next generation storyline about the Borg that broke away from the collective due to the Enterprise introducing a virus to them via Hugh. Yes, absolutely. Um, who, what, what do, what do rogue Modrons do? Do they try to get back home? Do they try to complete a a series of actions that um, do they try to complete their programming? Do they miss their home? Do they want to? Maybe they want to explore the world. And hey, I've never had a cup of coffee or a foot rub or cauliflower before, right? I mean, who knows? They've never heard music and such, and maybe there's a criminal that's using them. Like the Modrons are like, oh no, the universe works this way. Can I get another piece of chocolate? Right? And the evil person's like, ooh, I've got keys to the universe, you know? Or the Modrons are like, oh no, I've got plenty of tickets to get on the train. Um, sure would like to read a couple more comic books. And the evil guy's like, yes, I've got tickets. It's adventure time on a plane train. What happens if a train misses a stop and just blasts through with people trying to get on it? Watson should have an automation civil war. Then they can call it, can't release a campaign called Gears of War. Exactly. I like that. I like that a lot. Gears of War. Why not? Now, mind you, they do mention like the Great Modron March, but they don't go into detail about it. Essentially, what they did is the original Planescape. Yes, the original Planescape. All of this still exists. All the hard line alignment, all the materials in it. It's still second edition, but all of this still exists. And all they did was they took an area that's basically not really been described before. Think of it like Star Wars and the part of the galaxy, the outer reaches of the galaxy, right? Star Wars has always existed, and then they have this uncharted zone. Well, what they did is they described the parts of the uncharted zone. So, um, so they didn't eradicate, edit, or reintroduce or delete anything in Planescape. They just were like, oh, no one's ever talked about the plane of neutrality. Let's do that. And so the plane of neutrality is basically made up of all the other planes. Rogue Modrons might care about self-preservation or realizing that some of the lawful neutral imposing order stuff they're commanded to do is completely immoral. And that's true, right? Like, who's to say that when the Rogue Modrons get out and they're going like, wait a minute, this isn't, we're this isn't right. Maybe we should be doing something else. Also, can and this is why I happen to feel very inspired by it. The gate towns are a place between the real plane of existence, which is Mechanus, and the prime material plane. What's in between? Where you have this gate town, and the gate town of AUTOMATA. What other creatures could live there that are feel drawn to it, right? So, are there cults dedicated to nothing but order and law? And are there creatures that have been brought in here that feel like they have a greater purpose now that they're part of the Modron, expecting it and want to go along with the Modron March, maybe? Maybe in your world, really, the Modrons, they're like dwindling in number, and they have to recruit people from other planes of existence to take their place because one by one, they're breaking down. There is no god of the Modrons any longer. There is no Primus. Or something, or maybe there's something going wrong in the greater uh, uh, multiverse that's happening, that's making them break down. There's something gumming up the works, and it needs to be fixed. And maybe the Modrons are so mindless they don't even know what to do. They're like, listen, we need help because we can't fit. Hey, I've only been exposed to this place that I work on. I don't know what the rest of it is working. And I mean, they could be sentient in the sense of, hey guys, we're in trouble, but they could also have problems going like, listen, I haven't walked much further than 50 yards away from where I work. I don't know how, yeah. Yeah, when they hit the lower planes, they lose about 70% of their ranks, and the PCs have to help them. Their only hope of surviving the abyss is in sheer numbers. Yeah, ugh. They keep getting taken out. Yeah, because the lower planes are pretty damn dangerous. Um, the Yankee says the lawful neutral cult is the wildest concept I can think of. We follow all the rules. Cults are illegal. A cult against all cults, including themselves. Cults are wrong. Follow us. We've got the rules. No, but really, that it could be. I could imagine. Um, I could imagine a huge sect of humanity feeling that way because imagine you're one of these people that's lived in like 15 different villages. The last 14 were always destroyed by like evil hordes, necromancers, dragons, the onslaught of machines or wizards or something. And you're just like, man, F this. I want to go someplace where like there's no gods, everything runs in pristine order. I know exactly how things work. And then boom, they get a ticket and they get invited to this place and they look around, they're like, yeah, it's law. This is where I want to live. Law, order, no chaos, so much like home. Like, yeah, when I hear this, is there are people who like order for its own sake. And I'm gonna say something that is gonna probably come across as being rude and dismissive and maybe even um, um, uh, wrong in how I describe it, but I mean it this in the best way. We have people that are on the spectrum in the real world. Why wouldn't there be people on the spectrum in a fantasy world who are like, you know what? Where I'm back at home, they make fun of me, they take advantage of me, they don't think I fit. But here, I'm like a god, right? That could be like people on the spectrum here who don't like loud noises or too much chaos in their life. Um, who are easily distracted by things. In this place, same thing happens each time, and they're like, hell yeah. And they might be like master wizards here because they know exactly how to put things together and how things fit. And their power might come about because they repair the machines that are here that keep the cosmos working. And in return, these machines come to them and give them little gifts and things. That would be kind of cool. In Automata, you get served perfectly even grilled waffles. On the other hand, everyone only gets one thing of butter and only one cup of syrup. Yes, and it must only be eaten in 8 bites. 7 bites? Oh, something must be wrong with you. 9 bites? Yeah, you're slacking off. When Tenebros, Orcus's new form, kills and poses as Primus, releasing the march early, the Modrons do as commanded, but they are visibly weirded out, and a few realize what happened and go rogue. I like that idea. That someone, I mean, remember, if the Modron March is to reset the cosmos, maybe somebody wants to have it reset for themselves. Much like pulling the fire alarm on a building and then staying inside the building so you can hack it. It could be, hey, let's get the Modrons out of this place, get them to get on the trains, get it, get the march going, so that person can go in and like rewrite magic or rewrite literally rewrite history of or make their own cosmic universe by checking the machines. Yeah, each bite must be chewed 11 times, and you must eat it in 2 minutes. Yeah, everyone biting at the exact same time, drinking at the exact same time. Everyone pats their stomach in exactly 3 pats. Boom, boom, boom. Very good. Everyone looks at each other. All right, back to work. No, it's not exactly like that. Automata is much more relaxed than the plane of Mechanus. So it's much more relaxed. It's an extremely ordered city, but they have coffee shops. There are people who visit here many times. I mean, for example, um, it could be a place someone is sent to, like I'm trying to think of like a trade school. A person is sent here to learn how to build, how to, um, you know, kids too wild. Hey, here's a ticket. You're getting on the train. I'm sending your ass to AUTOMATA, right? And there's going to be somebody there to pick you up, and they're going to put you into the, into the grinder and make them live in a way. They have to make their beds and get up to work and blah blah blah. Like it could be like that. I mean, and again, this place, this gate town, being a lot more, I don't want to say egalitarian, more accepting of outsiders, may be a place where people learn those kind of things. Like you want to be a great blacksmith and learn how to forge metal. They're going to, hey, listen, you have to pound the metal 43 times exactly this way. And it's like they get the 43 and they're like, oh, it's not done. And the Modrons are like, they just push the person aside, move everything, sets everything back up and goes, okay, do it again. This is exactly how you're supposed to do it. 8, 9, like me, 10, 11, like that could be a thing as well. Wana Heathen says, oh, yes, there is comfort in order. I'd never want to live in an entirely automated society, but I do love things being stable. And I could see that being the draw. Like, remember, this gate town is the interstitial space between the true plane of existence and the chaos of like the wildness of the prime material plane, right? This may be a place where, again, where people have breakfast at a particular, a big horn can go off and literally everybody stops working to go get breakfast. And someone says, I like this. I mean, everyone gets up at the same time and I like, yeah. Yep. Limited to one thing of waffle syrup equals lawful evil. A sure sign of a rogue Modron corrupted by the Atsu. Is that was the name of given from the fiends of the lower planes? I think it was like lawful evil, yeah. Oh shit, yeah. Now let's talk about Modron shopping carts. Oh my god. Hey, you don't put a Modron shopping cart back, they are gonna freak the hell out. Yeah, and if you do not brush your teeth, you're deemed to be defective and deleted. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we come to the end here. I just wanted to show this off. This was basically going to be my swan song for WotC, because I had an interest in this long before the January and the debacle and the bullshit that they put all the rest of the community through. I also know that corporate entities are not monoliths, and that there are creative people who work inside of these places. Thank you, Heathen. And I feel like, despite what they gave us with Spelljammer, which completely sucked, by reading it, and it's mine, like I said, okay, I'll hold it up again. All the information about it is just a page spread. I know it's blasted out, but it's just a 2-page spread. It's not a lot of information you can pack into a 2-page spread with detail, right? No. I don't mean like not stream anymore. What I mean is talking about or even giving money to Wizards of the Coast. Yeah. Yeah, and King says it perfectly. Isn't it sad? WotC did this to themselves. They made it controversial to be seen holding a wizard product. Absolutely. So my feeling about it, and I'm not going to. Someone can have their own feelings about me even purchasing it in the first place. Everyone deserves their own opinions about it. I know that I made an internal promise to myself. I was like, I love Planescape. This is going to be the last time it's going to exist. And then I got it. I wasn't even going to talk about it, but I was inspired. And if something inspires me, I'm good about that. And listen, there's a lot of people who work for, WotC who that was their dream. They worked their ass off to get good enough to be employed there, and then now they live under an umbrella of bullshit, right? So I don't want to, like a movie being made when you have dozens, hundreds, thousands of hands on it, criticizing it because of one person is it's kind of wrong, right? It would be like me criticizing a car manufacturer because one or two of the people that built the car were drug addicts or beat their spouse or didn't pay child support or something, right? There's other people that were involved in the construction of the car that I drive. I wouldn't like give up my car because one person who put a knob on the front dashboard, which could be true, did something wrong, right? I agree with you there, Heathen. Yeah. And they keep doing it. They haven't done it's not that they stopped, they keep doing it. It's just like, yeah. Shai says, DBJ, thank you for making a dedicated Planescape show. Never mind this version. I hope you will do a show about another plane sometime. Oh, no, no, no. I plan on doing that. Well, yes, kind of. Because, well, there is SEO, right? There is search engine optimization, and Planescape happens to be big in the thing. And I wanted to talk about planes. I love Planescape. And I was like, it's a good excuse to talk about it since it exists now in two different versions, I guess. Primarily second edition and fifth edition, quite a bit in fourth edition, if I'm not mistaken, although I've never played it. Yeah. Well, it's I'm transforming it. I can talk about it. Yeah. I mean, they could still try to take my channel down, but I'm small. They don't care about me. Are you going to do a show for each plane? Yes. I plan on doing every 16 planes, and I want to do one for each. And then what I want to here's the order of progress. I want to talk about details about the plane. We'll delve into the alignment situation, and even though how do you do planes of alignment that are literally the physical embodiment of an alignment when alignment no longer is a thing in the current edition of D20. But really what I want to get into is the first 10 minutes or whatever. Fine, we'll talk about what the plane is. But after that, I want to say, like, why use it? Why? What adventures are going to be there? It's great. I love Planescape, but I think the better thing is, Drew says, I think fourth edition only had Sigil in a DMG2. Yep. What I want to talk about is how can we use it, especially like Drew brought up the fact of, like, I don't like the planes being that ordered. I want it's supposed to be mysterious and ephemeral and like tangential, like you can barely touch it, but then when you get there, it's nothing but your entire reality. Like, how would you use it? Would you cut it up and splice it into different things? I mean, for example, would you bring back the positive and negative material planes instead of the plane of shadow and the Feywild? That kind of stuff. So, and however, that's the point of the channel is, like, on this day, the day of, what would you do for this day if your players were suddenly tossed into this strange arena for a day trip? What would they do, and why would you want them to be there? And just come up with ideas like that. So I know Halloween. I want to yes. All first and second edition stuff is available free online. Second edition had the best backstories. Changing the stories in later editions was where they went foobar. I do agree with that. Honestly, I feel like there's no reason to change a thing. Just enhance what's already there. Like Star Wars, right? You have the uncharted regions. Go to the uncharted regions and chart stuff. One doesn't have to affect the other. Actually, that's where I wish Star Wars would go. Go someplace far within the Star Wars world. I wish they would go even further, far, far away. Long time ago, far, far away. That's what I wish they would do. New characters, new places, all that stuff. As Halloween nears, you can start heading into the evil planes. So when you swing back up, the year will nearing the winter holidays when you get to Celestia. I like that idea. That's really cool. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's do it that way. We'll start twisting and turning. We'll go that way. So tomorrow is Bedlam. That's the order that it's in there. It's alphabetical. But yeah, we could talk about the different planes of existence, of course, what they mean for us in a gaming sphere kind of thing, and then and go from there. And because so many people really don't know what Planescape is about, much like Dark Sun, describing Planescape is kind of complicated because you have like factions and you have to, it's really weird, and I like the weirdness of it. So yep. So guys, thank you very much for being part of the show and understanding what it's about. Again, if you're just, instead of asking for the whole call to action stuff, if you're someone who is completely against WotC, like you don't even want to watch a WotC thing, you're fine if you want to tune out of the channel. It won't hurt my feelings. But I will be doing a compare contrast, if that makes sense to you. And unfortunately, for those who hate WotC, I was actually inspired by what they wrote. And what I have a feeling is there were people that were at the doing the editing, the writing and editing of this, who are fans of it just as we were, who are still employed at WotC, who probably feel the same way we do, but they need a paycheck. Yeah, Bedlam, where I visited last weekend. And yes, I really do want to do a compare and contrast. Seriously, and of course, I need you guys' help to say, hey, remember this part. Now, it's going to be difficult in hours, not a lot of time to dive into the detail because Planescape has a lot of detail. But we'll do our best because that's what we do here on the show. Bedlam will take us out on that. Guys, have a great one. Thank you very much. Your time is very valuable. Thank you very much for spending it here. I hope I can give you change back. Have a great one. Peace.